were objections. I read the quote too, sir. You're just wrong. And I know you want to believe that's what he said. But by the way, he's not running for president.
George Conway's unexpected and forthright appearance on live television has sent shockwaves through an already tumultuous political landscape, as he laid bare his contentious views about the personal life of the newly elected president and his wife. The broadcast unfolded with an intensity that few could have predicted, capturing the attention of viewers who were already primed for controversy. With a blend of legal acumen, personal conviction, and unabashed candor, Conway seized the moment to dissect and criticize the dynamics of the president's marriage, challenging not only the institution of the relationship, but also the image of leadership that had been carefully curated over years of political theater. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. Throughout the broadcast, Conway's rhetoric was unrelenting, offering a scathing critique of what he described as a union marred by deceit and misrepresentation. His words did more than merely question the integrity of the marriage. They seemed to unravel the carefully constructed narrative that had been promoted by the administration. In a series of pointed observations, Conway argued that the foundation of the relationship between the president and his wife was built on compromises and a mutual need to project a polished public image rather than on genuine emotional bonds. This portrayal not only disrupted the public perception of the marriage, but also cast a long shadow over the president's credibility as a leader whose personal conduct should be above reproach. The television appearance was not a scripted moment of mere political theater. It was an impassioned outburst that interwove personal insights with broader commentary on the nature of power, loyalty, and public trust. Conway, a figure known for his legal expertise and his willingness to confront the administration on its own turf, used the platform to delve into the murky waters of alleged infidelity. His accusations, delivered with a blend of legal precision and emotional fervor, brought forth a narrative that questioned the authenticity of the president's personal commitments. By suggesting that the marriage was compromised by extramarital entanglements, Conway not only attacked the character of the president, but also indirectly critiqued the institution of leadership that relied heavily on personal integrity. In the midst of the charged atmosphere of the broadcast, Conway's statements carried with them layers of implications that went beyond the mere gossip of personal failings. They touched on the broader theme of accountability, a subject that has long been at the center of political discourse. The president, who had carefully maintained a public persona of unwavering confidence and strength, found himself vulnerable to the scrutiny of a voice that many respected for its uncompromising stance on truth and transparency. Conway's commentary suggested that a leader who fails to uphold the sanctity of marriage, an institution revered by many, may also be failing in the duty to lead with integrity. In doing so, he positioned the personal as inherently political, arguing that the character of a leader is intrinsically linked to their ability to govern effectively. The implications of this televised confrontation are multifaceted and profound. At one level, Conway's candid remarks served as a catalyst for a broader conversation about the personal lives of public figures and the impact that these lives have on public trust. His approach underscored a growing sentiment among a segment of the electorate that personal accountability is as significant as policy competence. In a time when the boundaries between personal character and political effectiveness are increasingly blurred, Conway's attack resonated with those who believe that the private indiscretions of a leader cannot be divorced from their public responsibilities. The public, already divided on many issues, was forced to confront a reality where personal missteps could undermine the legitimacy of an entire administration. Moreover, the language and tone employed by Conway during the broadcast elevated the discourse to a level that transcended mere political point scoring. His analysis was imbued with a sense of moral urgency, suggesting that the issues at hand were not just about a failed marriage, but about the erosion of trust between a leader and the people they serve. The president's personal life, as depicted by Conway, became emblematic of a larger problem: a perceived disconnect between the values professed by those in power and the actions they take behind closed doors. This narrative struck a chord with an audience that had grown increasingly disillusioned with a political establishment that often appeared more concerned with optics than with substance. In a moment of raw honesty, Conway's criticisms illuminated the inherent contradictions in a system where personal ambition and public duty often collide. The televised event also served as a powerful reminder of the enduring role that media plays in shaping political narratives. In an era dominated by sound bites and instant reactions, Conway's extended monologue was a rare moment of in-depth commentary that defied the conventions of modern political debate. His willingness to articulate a complex argument, rather than simply relying on reductive catchphrases, challenged viewers to engage with the nuances of his critique. This approach not only elevated the quality of public discourse, but also forced the audience to grapple with the uncomfortable reality that the personal failings of a leader might have far-reaching consequences for the nation's moral and political fabric. As the broadcast unfolded, it became evident that Conway's intervention was more than just a personal vendetta or an opportunistic attempt to gain attention. It was a deliberate and well-considered act of political commentary that sought to expose what he perceived as fundamental flaws in the president's character, and by extension, in the leadership of the nation. His analysis was both a call to accountability and a challenge to the status quo, a challenge that resonated deeply with those who had long questioned the integrity of a political system that seemed to reward image over substance. The event, broadcast live to millions, was a stark illustration of how personal narratives can be weaponized in the arena of political debate, transforming private matters into issues of national concern. The intensity of the moment was underscored by the fact that the broadcast occurred at a time when the political atmosphere was already fraught with tension and uncertainty. The transition of power, the fervor of electoral battles, and the myriad challenges facing the nation all converged to create a backdrop against which Conway's words took on added significance. In this context, the revelation of alleged infidelities was not merely a sensationalist detail. It was a symbol of a broader disintegration of trust between the governed and those in power. By laying bare what he claimed were the cracks in the president's personal life, Conway tapped into a deep well of public discontent, a sentiment that has been building over years of perceived hypocrisy and inconsistency within the political elite. Beyond the immediate shock value of the televised exchange, the event opened up a broader dialogue about the interplay between personal morality and political leadership. In a society where leaders are often held to higher ethical standards, Conway's accusations served as a potent reminder that personal indiscretions can have a cascading effect on public confidence. The president's relationship with his wife, long portrayed as a cornerstone of his public image, was suddenly cast in a new light, one that suggested that the veneer of stability and commitment might be nothing more than a carefully maintained facade. This revelation, delivered with unvarnished honesty, forced viewers to reconsider the qualities that should be expected of those who hold the highest office in the land. The moment also highlighted the inherent challenges of balancing personal privacy with public accountability in an age of relentless media scrutiny. While many public figures have long maintained that their private lives should remain separate from their public responsibilities, Conway's intervention challenged that notion by demonstrating how personal behavior can directly influence political outcomes. His commentary suggested that when a leader's personal conduct deviates from the moral and ethical standards expected by the public, it undermines not only their individual credibility, but also the legitimacy of the office they hold. This argument struck a nerve with a population that has grown increasingly skeptical of the disconnect between public proclamations and private actions, a skepticism that is unlikely to dissipate in the face of further revelations. In dissecting the implications of the broadcast, it is important to consider the broader cultural and political context in which these events unfolded. The nation finds itself at a crossroads, where the lines between personal freedom and public responsibility have become increasingly blurred. In this environment, the revelation of a leader's personal failings carries with it a heightened sense of urgency, as it calls into question the very foundations upon which democratic governance is built. The president's alleged extramarital indiscretions, as laid out by Conway, are emblematic of a larger crisis of trust, a crisis that has been fueled by years of political polarization, media sensationalism, and the relentless pursuit of personal gain by those in positions of power. Conway's remarks, delivered with an intensity that left little room for ambiguity, served as a stark reminder that the personal lives of leaders are inextricably linked to the broader health of the nation's political system. The discourse that emerged from this moment was one marked by both outrage and introspection. Viewers who had long harbored doubts about the president's character found themselves confronting those doubts in a visceral and unfiltered manner. At the same time, the broadcast sparked a debate about the role of personal integrity in public service, a debate that has far-reaching implications for how leaders are held accountable for their actions. The idea that a leader's personal indiscretions can undermine their ability to govern effectively is not new. Yet Conway's intervention brought this issue to the forefront of public consciousness in a way that few had anticipated. His unyielding approach to exposing what he saw as a fundamental betrayal of trust forced the audience to reckon with the notion that the personal and the political are deeply intertwined, and that the integrity of one cannot be sustained without the integrity of the other. The event also underscored the inherent risks involved in politicizing personal matters, particularly when those matters involve individuals who occupy positions of great power. The president and his wife, who have long been the subjects of intense public scrutiny, were suddenly thrust into a narrative that painted their private relationship as a battleground for ideological and moral conflict. This conflation of personal issues with political ideology is emblematic of a broader trend in modern politics, where the boundaries between the public and the private have become increasingly porous. In this environment, the personal failings of a leader are no longer seen as isolated incidents, but rather as indicators of deeper systemic problems that warrant closer examination and critique. The television appearance was a masterclass in the use of rhetoric to sway public opinion and frame the narrative of political discourse. Conway's delivery was measured yet forceful, combining logical arguments with emotional appeals in a way that resonated with a diverse audience. His ability to articulate complex ideas in accessible language allowed him to connect with viewers on multiple levels, from those who were primarily concerned with policy to those who were more interested in the moral dimensions of leadership. This multifaceted approach to political commentary elevated the discourse beyond the realm of mere scandal, inviting a broader examination of the values that underpin public service and the expectations that citizens hold for their leaders. In the realm of public debate, few moments have carried the same weight as this televised confrontation. It represented a turning point where the personal became a proxy for broader discussions about accountability, integrity, and the role of leadership in a democratic society. The president's marriage, long celebrated as a symbol of stability and unity, was suddenly cast into doubt by a narrative that questioned the very foundation of trust upon which it was built. Conway's unflinching critique challenged the audience to reconsider the attributes that should define a leader, and in doing so, he laid the groundwork for a more critical and introspective examination of political power. The ramifications of this moment are likely to be far-reaching, as it forced viewers to grapple with the uncomfortable truth that the personal shortcomings of those in power can have profound implications for the collective well-being of the nation. The intensity of the broadcast was matched only by the clarity of the message it conveyed. A message that reverberated across the spectrum of political discourse and left an indelible mark on the public consciousness. George Conway's intervention was not merely a moment of personal catharsis. It was a carefully orchestrated act of political communication designed to expose what he viewed as a critical flaw in the character of a leader entrusted with the nation's highest office. His accusations, presented with unwavering confidence, served as a stark reminder that the personal actions of those in power are subject to the same scrutiny and accountability as their public decisions. In a time when the boundaries between the personal and the political are increasingly intertwined, such moments of raw honesty have the power to reshape the landscape of political discourse and redefine the standards by which leaders are judged. The implications of Conway's remarks extend far beyond the immediate context of the broadcast, touching on deep-seated issues that have long plagued the political system. His critique was emblematic of a growing sentiment among citizens who demand greater transparency and accountability from those who wield power. The president's private life, as revealed through the lens of this broadcast, became a microcosm of a larger struggle, a struggle between the ideal of moral leadership and the reality of human frailty. Conway's unyielding approach to exposing the discrepancies between the public image and private conduct of a leader resonated deeply with an audience that had grown increasingly disillusioned with a political establishment that often appeared to prioritize image over substance. At its core, the televised event was a confrontation of ideals, a clash between the traditional notions of honor and duty and the modern realities of political expediency. George Conway's impassioned delivery underscored the idea that a leader's personal life cannot be extricated from their public responsibilities. His assertions challenged the notion that political effectiveness can be divorced from personal integrity, suggesting instead that the two are inextricably linked. This perspective resonated with viewers who believed that the highest office in the land should be held by individuals who exemplify both professional competence and personal virtue. The broadcast, in its raw and unfiltered form, forced the audience to confront the possibility that the personal shortcomings of a leader might have profound implications for the trust and confidence placed in them by the public. In dissecting the event further, it becomes clear that Conway's intervention was as much a commentary on the state of contemporary politics as it was a critique of an individual. The language he employed and the points he raised reflected a broader dissatisfaction with a political system that many feel has become increasingly disconnected from the values and concerns of everyday citizens. His critique was imbued with a sense of urgency and moral responsibility, suggesting that the personal actions of those in power are not merely matters of private concern, but are reflective of the broader ethical standards that should govern public life. This framing of personal misconduct as a matter of public import has the potential to reshape the dialogue around leadership and accountability, compelling citizens to re-examine the qualities they deem essential in those who hold the reins of power. The television broadcast also highlighted the delicate balance that public figures must maintain between safeguarding their private lives and fulfilling their public duties. The president and his wife, long adept at navigating the treacherous waters of media scrutiny, found themselves suddenly exposed to a level of criticism that was both personal and public. The revelation of alleged extramarital indiscretions, as articulated by Conway, served as a stark reminder of the challenges inherent in maintaining a flawless public persona while grappling with the complexities of human relationships. This tension between the ideal and the real is a recurring theme in the world of politics, one that is likely to be revisited time and again as citizens continue to demand greater accountability and transparency from their leaders. The dramatic nature of the broadcast, with its blend of raw emotion and incisive analysis, underscored the enduring power of live television as a medium for political communication. In an era where digital media and social platforms dominate the landscape, the impact of a live, unedited moment of truth cannot be underestimated. Conway's unfiltered delivery resonated with viewers in a way that pre-recorded statements or polished public relations messages rarely do. The immediacy of the medium, coupled with the gravity of the subject matter, created a moment of heightened awareness that compelled viewers to confront the reality of the situation in real time. It was a vivid illustration of how the personal failings of a leader, when exposed in a public forum, can rapidly become a matter of national concern. As the broadcast continued, the interplay between fact and interpretation became increasingly pronounced. Conway's analysis was not merely a recitation of alleged events, it was an invitation for viewers to engage in a deeper, more critical examination of the ethical standards that should govern those in power. His approach was both confrontational and reflective, challenging the audience to question the narratives that had long been taken for granted. The implications of his commentary reached far beyond the immediate context of the president's personal life, prompting a re-evaluation of the values that underpin democratic governance and the responsibilities that come with wielding public power. The power of the moment lay in its ability to bridge the gap between personal narrative and public discourse. Conway's words, though directed at exposing individual shortcomings, were also a broader indictment of a political system that has, in many ways, normalized behavior that many citizens find unacceptable. His intervention served as a stark reminder that the personal and the political are inextricably linked, and that the actions of those in power carry with them the weight of public trust. This realization, brought into sharp focus by the live broadcast, has the potential to catalyze a more informed and engaged citizenry, one that demands not only competent governance, but also moral integrity from its leaders. In reflecting on the event, it is impossible to ignore the broader implications of Conway's assertions for the future of political leadership. His willingness to confront the president on deeply personal issues challenged a long-standing tradition of separating personal life from public duty. Instead, he argued that the two realms are inextricably connected, and that the personal conduct of a leader is a bellwether for their ability to govern effectively. This perspective, while not universally accepted, resonated with a significant segment of the public that has grown increasingly wary of a political culture that appears to condone or overlook personal misconduct. The broadcast, in its unyielding scrutiny, thus served as a clarion call for a re-examination of the criteria by which leaders are judged and held accountable. The intense focus on the personal dimension of leadership, as exemplified by Conway's remarks, also brings to light the inherent challenges of balancing personal privacy with public accountability. The president, whose every move has been scrutinized under the relentless glare of the media, found himself at the center of a debate that was as much about the nature of public trust as it was about his personal failings. This collision between the private and the public spheres raises important questions about the limits of personal liberty in the context of public service. If a leader's personal life is seen as reflective of their overall character and competence, then the boundaries between what is acceptable in private and what is demanded in public must be redefined. Conway's intervention forced a reckoning with these questions, compelling viewers to consider the ways in which personal integrity can and should inform the practice of governance. In the final analysis, the televised event stands as a powerful moment of reckoning. A moment when the carefully constructed images of political power were challenged by a voice of dissent that refused to be silenced. George Conway's unyielding critique of the president's marriage and the alleged extramarital indiscretions was not simply an attack on an individual, it was a broader indictment of a system that has long allowed personal failings to be swept under the rug in the name of political expediency. His words, delivered with a blend of legal expertise and passionate conviction, invited viewers to reconsider the very nature of leadership and the ethical standards that should govern those who hold power. In doing so, he sparked a conversation that transcended the particulars of one marriage or one political figure, tapping into a deep and enduring debate about the relationship between personal character and public service. The event, with its unvarnished portrayal of personal indiscretion and its bold challenge to established narratives, has left an indelible mark on the collective psyche of a nation already grappling with questions of trust and accountability. It is a reminder that the personal is political, and that the actions of those in power, no matter how private they may seem, are subject to the scrutiny of a vigilant and increasingly discerning public. The broadcast was a moment of raw honesty, a moment that cut through the layers of spin and image management to expose the human realities behind the political facade. It forced a confrontation with the uncomfortable truth that the ideals of leadership are only as strong as the moral foundations upon which they are built. In the charged atmosphere of that televised moment, the interplay of personal conviction and public scrutiny reached its zenith. The candid examination of a marriage that had long been presented as a symbol of unity and strength was transformed into a powerful commentary on the nature of leadership and the responsibilities that come with wielding power. George Conway's intervention, marked by its clarity and its unwavering commitment to truth, challenged the audience to rethink the parameters of political accountability. His words resonated with an intensity that went beyond the immediate shock value of the revelations, embedding themselves in the broader narrative of what it means to lead in an era defined by rapid communication, relentless media scrutiny, and a growing demand for authenticity in public life. The profound implications of the broadcast continue to reverberate as it underscores a timeless truth. The character of a leader is inextricably linked to their ability to inspire trust and command respect. In laying bare the alleged faults in the president's personal life, Conway inadvertently set the stage for a larger debate about the standards to which public figures should be held. His unflinching analysis served as both a warning and a call to action, urging citizens to demand a higher level of accountability from those who occupy positions of great responsibility. The televised confrontation, with its blend of passion and precision, thus became a defining moment in the ongoing discourse about political integrity and the role of personal morality in public life. The narrative that emerged from this event is one that challenges conventional wisdom and invites a deeper reflection on the true meaning of leadership in contemporary society. By exposing the discrepancies between public persona and private behavior, the broadcast prompted a re-evaluation of the values that have long underpinned the nation's political culture. It questioned whether a leader who is unable or unwilling to live up to the ethical standards expected by the public can, in fact, effectively serve the interests of the people. This interrogation of personal integrity as a cornerstone of effective governance is likely to resonate for years to come, shaping the contours of political discourse and influencing the way future leaders are evaluated and held accountable. In a time marked by rapid shifts in the political landscape and an ever-evolving media environment, the televised confrontation stands as a testament to the enduring power of honest and unfiltered dialogue. George Conway's willingness to confront difficult truths, even when they cast a long shadow over the public image of the nation's leader, is emblematic of a broader commitment to accountability that transcends partisan divides. His intervention challenged the audience to look beyond the surface of political rhetoric and to engage with the underlying issues that define the relationship between personal behavior and public trust. In doing so, he not only disrupted the carefully managed narrative of a well-orchestrated public image, but also sparked a conversation that is likely to have lasting repercussions on the standards of leadership and the expectations of those who serve in public office. The impact of that fateful television appearance lies not only in the immediate shock it delivered, but also in the deeper questions it raised about the nature of public service. The intersection of personal and political, so starkly illuminated by Conway's remarks, forced an honest appraisal of the qualities that should define a true leader. It invited the public to reconsider whether the personal failings of those in power are merely private matters, or if they represent a broader failure of leadership that can erode the very foundations of trust and accountability. This confrontation with the messy realities of human imperfection is a reminder that the pursuit of power often comes at a personal cost, one that can have far-reaching implications for the integrity and effectiveness of a nation's governance. The reverberations of this event extend beyond the immediate context of the president's personal life, touching on fundamental questions about the role of media in shaping political narratives. In an era where every moment is scrutinized and every statement is dissected, the live broadcast served as a powerful demonstration of how personal revelations can be transformed into critical points of political debate. Conway's approach, characterized by its unyielding clarity and uncompromising vision, challenged the audience to see beyond the surface-level theatrics and to engage with the deeper issues at play. His words, delivered in the heat of a charged and unfiltered moment, became a rallying cry for those who believe that true leadership demands a level of personal accountability that cannot be compromised by the pursuit of political expediency. Ultimately, the event stands as a profound reminder of the power of truth and the necessity of holding leaders to the highest standards of personal and public conduct. George Conway's unrelenting focus on the personal failings of the president and his willingness to articulate a critique that cut through the layers of political spin served as a catalyst for a much-needed conversation about the responsibilities of leadership. The broadcast challenged viewers to confront the uncomfortable reality that personal indiscretions are not isolated incidents, but are indicative of broader systemic issues that can undermine the very fabric of democratic governance. In doing so, it underscored the timeless principle that the character of those in power must be beyond reproach if they are to earn and maintain the trust of the people they serve. This live confrontation, with its potent mix of personal revelation and political commentary, is likely to be remembered as a watershed moment, a moment when the boundaries between personal integrity and public responsibility were drawn in stark relief. The implications of this event are as significant as they are far-reaching, casting a long shadow over the political discourse and redefining the standards by which leaders are judged. It is a moment that calls into question the very nature of leadership in an era where authenticity is both demanded and rarely delivered. And it serves as a powerful reminder that the personal actions of those in power are inextricably linked to the public trust they are sworn to uphold. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on George Conway's comments about Trump and Melania's marriage? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.